Hey guys, it's Nedra. So as you probably already saw in the title of this video, today I'm going to be showing and explaining to you guys how to do nail art, how to execute it, because it does take some skill to do. I'm not going to hold you guys up in the intro for any longer though, so without further ado, let's get started. Why hello, it has been a very long time since I have actually talked in one of my videos, but I figured that talking to you guys and explaining step by step what I'm doing rather than doing a voiceover would be a lot easier for you guys to understand. So that is what I am doing today. So let's get into this. Now, just a quick little disclaimer. All the designs that I'm using as examples for how you would want to approach doing a design and whatnot are not mine. They're all designs that I found off of Instagram, and I give full credit to the people who have done these designs. But I figured that showing designs that you've seen from other people would probably be a good example to be able to know how to execute doing those designs. Now, how do you do nail art? How do you execute a design that you see online? Well, the easiest way to execute it is by looking at the shapes. Now, I'm starting off with something easy here because you can see that all of these shapes are executed here. These are all separate little shapes that create this design. So you have your design, you have your shapes. How do you execute it? What do you start with first? Well, with this design, for example, the first thing we start off with is this base. This is a nude pink base that doesn't have to be this color. If you don't want it to be, you can make this a solid color like white or another shade of green, for example, to match with this green theme we have going on here. But that's what you would start with first, is your base color of choice. After that, we would do these little circular shapes because this is the next step of our background. You can see that this little squiggle sits on top of these circles. So we know that the next step in creating this design is to do these little half circles here. So now that we've broken that design down and figured out what to start with, categories, things like that, we can now execute the design. So here I am doing 2 coats of a nude polish. After that's dried, I'm going in with my half circles, starting with my lightest color and going down to my darkest. However, with this step of the design, it really does not matter which shade of your colors you're using first. It really just is all personal preference, but in this case I went with my lighter one, then worked down to my darker one. And I just want to quickly note that I am using gel polish in all of these designs. Gel polish is just a lot easier to use when doing nail art. You can use nail polish, but it's a little more difficult. But now that my half circles are down, I am going in with my squiggle. And then always make sure to top coat your design when it's fully dry and done. Now, as you can see, by breaking this design down, by looking at the different shapes, I was able to achieve this look. So let's do another one that's a little more complicated, but is still achievable to do. Now, this design is called a scalloped design, where you have one solid shape that is filled in with smaller shapes to achieve this scalloped look. Now, designs like these are a little bit harder to do because you are starting off with a solid shape and then adding your smaller shapes into it to achieve the design that you were looking for. So it is still manageable. It just takes more of a keen eye and of course practice to be able to figure out how to do designs like these. So I'm starting with the solid portion of the design first. I'm doing my little mountains or lumps or scallops, whatever you want to call them. Doing that first, then I'm going to fill in the whole thing and then go in with my gold and actually make the scalloped look. So now you can see that my black is fully down. I'm now adding those little mountains or scallops or bumps, whatever you want to call them, and working my way up. I'm starting from the bottom first because that's the easiest way to do it, and then working my way up until I get to those top little mountains or whatever you want to call them. So as you can see, even though I went a little bit too high up with this and these nails are much shorter, I was still able to achieve that look by factoring in the fact that this nail is not the same length as this nail and the black is a little bit higher up than this is. So now let's take one solid shape that is actually multiple shapes put in to one shape. So hearts are a good example of this because what they actually are two circles and then a triangle that is then filled in to make a heart. So I didn't choose the greatest background and color to put on top of this to do this design, but as you can see, I am doing exactly what I said. I am doing two circles and then that gets filled in with a triangle, basically, to create the heart. I did turn the flash on here so that you could hopefully see it a little bit better. For our last example here, we're actually going to take nail shapes into account of a design. So as you can see here, we have this negative space design on an almond shape. Now, this design can still be achieved on, say, a square shape, but it looks more visually appealing on this almond shape. And the reason for that is because this part here, this sort of petal teardrop type of shape, is formed by the almond shape here. And then the cuticle area of this little U-ish type shape is again formed by the almond here. And then of course we have this very thin outline of black around this little teardrop shape in here. So you can still achieve this look on an entirely different shape like square, for example, but it looks a lot more appealing on this almond shape because you have these other shapes that are factoring into it. And I'm going to show you guys how this would look on a shape like square and then on this almond shape. So I am starting with my square first, just so you can see how you would execute this design on a square. And I am starting off with my green patch first. And now I am going in with my outline of black. Now, with this shape specifically, I purposely did not outline the free edge because of the shape. I felt like if I did, it would sort of offset the design and make it look a little bit weird. I did outline the edges a little bit with the black, but I purposely did not do the free edge because I felt it would offset it due to the shape of the nail. And then I went in and outlined my cuticle area with the black. Now I probably could have done the black here a little bit thicker to make it look a little more balanced. However, I kind of felt that if I did that, it would still sort of look offset. So I just did the best that I possibly could with a shape like this. And this was the finished result of this design. Now let's do this on almond, and you can actually see how easier it is for me to do this design on an almond because of the shape. But in any case, I started with my green patch first, like I did before. And then I'm going in with my black, and I'm actually outlining the entirety of the green like how it originally looks in the picture. And you can see that I'm taking the curvature of the nail into account when outlining this green in black to make it look as fluid as possible. And the shape helps significantly with that. And then, like I did before, I am outlining the cuticle with the black. And like I keep saying, the shape does help significantly when doing this. And this is the final result of the design on this shape.
So I wanted you guys to see these nails side by side to get a better understanding of why it's so important to do specific shapes with specific designs. So for example, here, I was able to achieve this design on the square nail, but it's not as visually appealing as this almond nail, and there's a reason for that. On the square nail, there's too much negative space between here and here. And if you were to bring this green up higher to eliminate that negative space, there would be way too much green happening down here. The other thing to note is that it's hard to achieve that nice curve on this black line here and on this black line here because of the fact that this is a square nail. Whereas with this, you have this consistent curvature shape going on because you have this consistent curve happening here in the almond shape. And even if I were to bring this green lower or higher, the negative space between here wouldn't look awkward at all because of the fact that we have this consistent curve within here. So that's why it's so important to think about the type of shape that you're going to do when you are doing a specific design. This design is still achievable on a square nail, but it's not as visually appealing as it is on an almond nail.
So that was how to easily look at a design and break it down and achieve that design that you were looking to do. Hopefully this was helpful for anybody who's been struggling with doing nail art but has really wanted to do it. It does take a little bit of science to kind of figure out, but hopefully this video has helped you to be able to figure it out and be able to actually do nail art a little bit easier. So if you liked this video, consider hitting that subscribe button and click the notification bell so you guys get notified as new videos I upload. If it even works, and if it doesn't work, you can go ahead and follow me on Instagram and TikTok, where I not only do you guys as new videos that I upload, but that's also where I should mark that you guys normally wouldn't see here in these videos. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye!